Hey there, this is Evo Raymond McLean for Live once again, and I want to welcome everyone back to another movie review and, of course, more reviews for Wesley Snipes. Today, of course, I'm gonna talk about his Rising Sun, which came out on July 13, 1993, and it's actually a mystery thriller based on the novel from Michael Crichton with the same name, and he also got writing credits for this film because he wrote with his I think was his associate. He wrote a screenplay, Michael Bakes, which they both earned the writing credits, directed and written by Philip Kaufman, and of course stars Sean Connery and Wesley Snipes, the pair of two detectives investigating the murder of a young girl in the Japanese company. Now, Rising Sun came out the same year as Michael Crichton's based on a novel movie called Jurassic Park, which I also have the poster for this film. But this movie came out the same year with Michael Crichton. He was paid $1 million for the filming rights of his novel, and he was also attached to write the screenplay for the film. Now, just like Blade Trinity, which had a lot of problems, which caused a lot of problems behind the scenes, this movie also caused problems behind the scenes, which I'll get into it. But Rising Sun is one of those movies that I enjoy. Another favorite movie from Wesley Snipes. But the best of the film is Sean Connery. Yes, Sean Connery is the best in my opinion. He's actually the best of the whole film. And his acting performance, he steals this movie. Sean Connery steals this movie. To me, one of his best performances, because Sean Connery was fantastic in this movie. I mean, I really enjoy Rising Sun, which I have a Blu-ray. And yeah, Sean Connery, in my opinion, I love his acting performance. He steals the performance. I think that Sean Connery is the best of the film. He even overshadows Wesley Snipes in this movie because he acts so perfectly well. He's so awesome in this movie. I love how he acts. I love how he talks. I love how he walks in this movie. I mean, Sean Connery is excellent. Now, I didn't do a lot of Sean Connery movie reviews on this channel so far, but I did review all the James Bond films except the new piece of shit movie, which I'm not interested watching it. But yeah, I did review all the James Bond movies that Sean Connery was in it. And my favorite will be You Only Live Twice. Now, You Only Live Twice was in which James Bond goes to Japan, and this movie focused on the Japanese culture. And Sean Connery, after 30 years, he's actually after 26 years, because that movie came out in 1967. After 26 years, Sean Connery returned now as a detective, in which he had to solve a crime on Japanese company, and he knows everything about Japanese culture. And Sean Connery, he was in Japan in the 60s when he was making his fifth James Bond movie. And You Only Live Twice with Goldfinger is my favorite James Bond movie that he did. And and I forgot to mention, but this review is actually in honor of Sir Sean Connery. Yes, it's in honor of Sir Sean Connery, who passed away in end of October 2020, which he fell asleep and he never woke up. And Sean Connery is so missed. I mean, I really miss Sean Connery a lot. He's so missed, and he also did a lot of films in the 90s, like he did The Hunt for Red October, The Rock, and Rising Sun is right there with the film, The Time Joy. that I actually really enjoy for Sir Sean Connery. And Sean Connery, he steals this movie. He steals his acting performance. I mean, watch this movie. For Sean Connery, I recommended to see it. Now, like I said, this movie is based on bestseller novel by Michael Crichton with the same name, and talks about a young girl. This young girl, Cheryl Lynn Austin, she's murdered. I'm actually gonna show you, which is actually played by German supermodel Tatiana Patitz. And this young girl, she's actually killed in a Japanese company in the commencement gala in Nakatomo Corporation, which is actually a Japanese company in Los Angeles. And of course, Lieutenant Webster Webb Smith, played by Wesley Snipes, he's actually sent to investigate the murder, and because they needed that this caves get solved quickly, they call Sean Connery as Captain John Connor, not John Connor from Terminator, but Captain John Connor, who lived in Japan, and he's actually known with Japanese culture to help LAPD to investigate this murder and solve it quickly as possible. So soon as Lieutenant John Connor is paired with Lieutenant Homicide Detective LAPD Webster Webb Smith, the pair detectives actually find themselves in a bloody trailer with Japanese businessmen who does not want to help Webb and Connor at all, and they actually stand in their ways. And not only the pair detectives find out that the original disc from the security cameras is missing, and that's actually the original disc is missing. But later, one of those business Japanese men, brings the disc, and it turns out that the killer and the prime suspect is actually Eddie Sakamura, played by Kari Hiroki Tagawa. That Eddie is actually the prime suspect because detectives see the reflection in the mirror, and they are sure that Eddie was the one who dated the girl, that he was the one that in commencement gala that he killed her, that he strangled her, because she had such a disease that she loved, have sex and relationship. Because she's 23 years old, she loved sex and relationship when someone strangles her. But LAPD SWAT team tries to arrest Eddie, but Eddie jumps in his car and he escapes. He jumps in his car and he escapes, and his car explodes to pieces, and the case is closed. But Captain John Connor is sure that there is more to the story than we actually sees. So he grabs the disc to his assistant, Ingo Asakuma, because she's actually a video analyst, and he gives her the disc, and she finds out, and she analyzes the video, she finds out it's a fake video, and there's a third person. 3 people were involved, and it wasn't Eddie. He actually was a witness to a murder. And Tia Career, she plays Jungo Asakuma. She plays the video analyst, and of course now the detectives are once again back on the case, and someone wants that this case gets closed, and both detectives are sure there's more going on for the story than it is already. And they actually go and they investigate the murder, and they also find out, that Eddie Sakamura, who also works for Mr. Yoshida, played by Mako, rest in peace. He was also in Mako was in the film on Dangerous Place, and he was also in the film The Perfect Weapon, and of course he's actually the owner of the company of the Nakamoto Corporation. He's the owner, and Eddie works for him. And of course I love when the pet detectives, they go actually to this party, this bodyguard, this asshole starts messing with Sean Connery. Sean Connery punches him in the neck, which I love that scene. And of course he talks to Eddie, and they try to find out, more what's going on. And when they actually, their lead, because Eddie wasn't the one that killed him, and when they go, there's also a bribery in which in which Webster was accused of a bribe, and it was a false information, and the case was dismissed, and they're actually now coming back. And now his ex-wife wants to take his daughter. At the time, Webb Smith is pissed off. And of course, they go to the apartment, to Webster's apartment, and they found Eddie Sakamura being alive. Eddie has been alive, and he gives the original tape, the original disc, to analyze who the real actually killer is. And it turns out, the Japanese wants Eddie dead. And I love the scene that Webster, that I love actually the scene that Webb and John, they try to protect Eddie. And there's actually a fight scenes, in which Eddie goes and fights the Japanese opponents with the swords, and Gary Hiroki Tagawa shows and demonstrates one of his few martial arts. And I actually love that Gary Hiroki Tagawa in this movie is a good guy. In most of the movies, he was a villain in the bad guy. He was a villain in Showdown Little Tokyo. He was villain in Mortal Kombat. He was villain in Soldier Boys. In most of the movies in the 90s, he was the bad guy, the villain. I love that in this movie, he's a good guy, which I love that scene. He gets killed, and someone shoots Webster in the back, in that time Sean Connery shows up with his 38 special and fires back, through the whole movie. Sean Connery calls Wesley Snipes Kohai, while Wesley Snipes calls Sean Connery Senpai. But actually, I read that in Japanese culture, Kohai is actually insulting, and Sean Connery was insulting Wesley Snipes' character the whole movie. But to me, it's irrelevant because I'm not a Japanese, and I don't live in the culture, so to me, it's irrelevant. But I thought that I enjoyed the movie because of the story. Now, they actually, because this young girl, she was strangled and killed, in Nakamoto Corporation commencement gala, and why she was killed and who covered up, because people, I think because the Japanese salesmen in order, not to have a scandal, in the back. And I think of course the American businessmen who worked there, they actually they decide to hide everything, and in order to prevent a scandal in the corporation. And of course there are 3 people who actually saw it, and Eddie Sakamura was a witness, but he didn't do the killing. And Senator Morton, he actually was the one who had an affair, and they found him, and he got all the pictures in the fax, and because his disabled wife sees it, Helen sees it, and his company he's in, because his votes, that actually he's gonna lose everything. So Senator Morton grabs a gun and shoots himself. Ray Wise from Twin Peaks and RoboCop plays Senator Morton, which he did a good job performance. He goes and kills himself. And the third person was actually, Bob Richmond, played by Kevin Anderson. He was actually an American lawyer who worked for the Japanese corporation. He was the one that killed the girl. He's the one who strangled her. But Senator Morton, he actually Senator John Morton, not Bob, John Morton, he was the one who actually had an affair, but he did not kill her. It was actually Bob Richmond. And of course, Ishihara, played by Stan Iggy, he was the one, Ishihara, who was blackmailing Senator Morton. He was the one who was providing false information and misleading the detectives. And then Mr. Yoshida finds out the cover up, and everything behind it. Ishihara has been disgraced, has been sent back, to Japan with nothing, while Bob Richmond tries to escape. But Eddie's man, because there are a few martial arts scenes, which I wish that Wesley Snipes could show more martial arts, but this wasn't the case in the film. So Eddie's friends gets revenge, and they throw Bob Richmond right in the in the cement, in the dry, in the wet cement, in the wet concrete, and he was actually drowning in the fast dry concrete, and he was killed. He actually was killed off. And that was only, they only tried to start, and so Eddie's friends gets revenge on the guy who killed Cheryl Lynn Austin. And that of course, in the end, John Connor goes to play golf with Mr. Yoshida because he's friends with him, and of course Webster drives back Juno. He drives back Jingo, not Juno. Jingo drives her back because she says, that her father was actually a black, was actually Afro-American. And of course Webster falls in love with her, and on the end, there's an open doors, and we hear Sean Connery go hi. Also, Sean Connery served the producer in this film, and yeah, that was the end, and Sean Connery serves the producer of this film. But the movie is completely different from the novel that Michael Crichton wrote it. So Michael Crichton was paid $1 million for the filming rights of his novel, and he was attached to write the screenplay, but Philip Kaufman changed everything. So Michael Crichton was against the idea that Philip Kaufman and Joe Roth cast Wesley Snipes as the main lead. They were against the idea because in the book it's completely different. So the book is different than the movie. In the book, it was actually not Webster Smith, but the main character's name was actually Lieutenant Peter J. Smith, not Webster Smith, and he was a male Caucasian, not Afro-American, and Michael Crichton and Michael and of course Michael Bakes, they both quit the project, largely over disagreement with writer-director Philip Kaufman. So Philip Kaufman wanted to have whole credits. He wanted that he everything did by himself, and he wanted to get the single credits, single cast credits for the film. But 20th Century Fox, they disagreed with him, so they they actually put that both Michael Crichton and Michael Bakes, they both got writing credits for this film with Philip Kaufman, even though he wanted to get the solo credits, but he did not work. Sean Connery also served producing this film, and like I said, Sean Connery steals this film. He steals this film. His acting performance is the best in the film. He steals the film. Now, the budget for this movie cost $35 million, but worldwide did $107 million. Opening weekend, US, Canada, $50 million, while it grows to $63 million. Weighed worldwide, $107 million. It made a lot of money, this film. Wesley Snipes did a good job as Webster Webb Smith, and Michael Crichton disagreed, that he's cast in the film. But I thought that Sean Connery did a fantastic job. This is actually also a solid political thriller, mystery thriller. I love this film. Yes, I love Rising Sun. A lot of people say it's boring. I disagree. I enjoy, especially Sean Connery's acting performance. It's one of my favorite Wesley Snipes movies that he did. Not in top 5, but definitely in top 10. And I enjoy Rising Sun. I thought both the men, they did a good job. It's also 2 hours and I think was 9 minutes long. It's kind of a long film, but still I enjoy. I thought the cast did well. I thought Sean Connery stole the movie. I thought Wesley Snipes did a good job. Harvey Keitel was also in this movie. Tia Carrere did a good job. Harvey Keitel was also in this movie, who did a good job. Cary Hiroki Tagawa did an awesome job in this movie. He also showed a few martial arts skills. Wesley Snipes showed a few punches, but I wish he could do more. But this wasn't an action thriller, even though it's written on Wikipedia Body Cop. It wasn't. It's a mystery political thriller. At that time, there were a lot of movies in the 90s, like with Clint Eastwood's Absolute Power. There was that film with Charlie Sheen and Craig Sheffer, which named the same titles. And Wesley Snipes also did Murder at 1600, another mystery thriller, another mystery action thriller with Diane Lane that time. I'm surprised that movie was not released on Blu-ray, but I'm glad that this movie was released on Blu-ray. Now in the book, because in the book was actually the lead character's name was actually Peter J. Smith. He was male Caucasian, while the movie is also Afro-American, a black detective named Webster Webb Smith. And also because there actually were three people behind the murder, behind this young girl's murder. There were 3 in the commitment gala in Nakamoto Corporation, Japanese company, Los Angeles. There were 3 behind it. The guy who was responsible, Ishihara. In the book, his name was actually his name actually was Ishiguro, not Ishihara, but Ishiguro. And in the book, Ishiguro, he commits suicide when detectives came to arrest him. He jumps off the building and he commits suicide. And Eddie Sakamura, in the book, he was beaten to death. In this movie, he fought with honor, with swords, and he gets killed. His neck is slashed in the movie, but in the book, he gets beaten to death. And of course, Captain John Connor, Michael Crichton wrote the character in mind for Sean Connery, so Sean Connery perfectly acted this film. But the book is completely different than the movie. And of course, the movie is not an action body cop thriller. It's actually a political mystery thriller. And I really enjoyed the film. Steve Buscemi has a small role as Willie the Weasel Wilhelm. He's a news reporter, and he wrote a story about Webster Smith, how he's corrupt, how he's actually a corrupt cop when he's not true. But of course later later Webster Smith, that he admits to he goes and he admits to Captain John Connor that he took the bribe, and that was actually dismissed, but because he and his wife was drowning the bill, so he took the bribe in order to pay the debt. So that was awesome. But yeah, I enjoy Rising Sun. I thought it was a really good movie. Meiko did a good job at Mr. Yoshida. And like I said, Ishihara, in this movie, he was sent back with nothing to Japan with disgrace, because he disgraced the honor. In the book, his name was changed and he committed suicide. He jumped out the building. While in this movie, by the way, in the book, Ishihara, he was the one that did the murder. While in this movie, American lawyer was the one that committed murder, and he tried to escape, but he was scared. But of course, as his friends get revenge, they throw him in that wet concrete, and he gets killed. So that still was awesome. Now, Philip Kaufman, in my opinion, did a good job directing this film. And now this is the back, this is the Blu-ray that I do have. And of course the back, with Sean Connery and Wesley Snipes. That's Tatiana Patitz. She's a German supermodel. Tia Carrere is in this movie as Jingo Asakuma, John Connor associate. And I think she was actually the daughter. The daughter of she in the movie, she actually was adopted daughter by John Connor from Japanese culture. That's of course Harvey Keitel's in this movie, and Wesley Snipes. In the back you have Sean Connery, and we have Sean Connery with the gun, But Sean Connery still, when the fight scenes, Sean Connery grabs the guy, throws him. I like that when there's a few fight scenes. But I really have enjoyed Rising Sun. Gritty, stylish, and so sexy. Merging back, which I do agree. But I thought that everyone, the cast, did a good job. And yeah, I enjoy Rising Sun. I mean, it's a really good movie. It's not an action. There's not much of action. There's a explosion. And Cary Hiroki Tagawa did a fantastic job as Eddie Sakamura, who fakes his death. Then he goes in the fight scenes, because in the book, he was beaten to death. In this movie, he fought back. He used martial arts skills with the sword, but still he gets killed on the end, because that's how in the book was. Ray Wise as John Morton, he did a good job. I enjoy he goes and shoots himself, which I love that. But I enjoy mystery thriller. And I think that with Absolute Power, I'll put this movie above Absolute Power, because I actually kind of enjoy this movie a lot. But in Murder 1600, it was actually a different movie. I like that movie for Wesley Snipes, but I kind of forget who the killer is in that film, because it was more in that movie. It was more a conspiracy movie, because this is also a conspiracy, because Ishihara, he tries to mislead those two detectives, because they wanted that this case gets closed quickly as possible and quietly, in order, to protect the Japanese company from a disaster and scandal, because they don't need that, because they try to buy, the American company. They were actually emerging together. But man, I really, for 2 hours, I had a kick of this film. I had a blast of this film. Rising Sun is in my opinion, a really good movie, a solid movie, a good mystery thriller with Sean Connery and Wesley Snipes in the lead. And yeah, this movie did make the money. It made $107 million. It came out July 30. And like I said, Blade was the year of 1998 was the year with Wesley Snipes, which he actually made 3 movies that time. He made U.S. Marshals, Blade, and Future Sport, which I think I watched the Future Sport. I think it's somewhere on YouTube. But the year 1993, you know, Sean Connery, Wesley Snipes came out 3 movies that time. The first one was Rising Sun, Demolition Man right there. Yes, Demolition Man, it was right there. And of course Boiling Point, but that movie kind of sucked. That movie actually really sucked in my opinion. Also Tatiana Patitz as Cheryl Lynn Austin, she did a fantastic job. She was a beautiful German supermodel in this movie. I really enjoy her. The cast, the direction, the acting performance, because Sean Connery steals the movie. I love how Sean Connery acts in this movie. You know, I love his line. I forgot to mention that I love his line. No, they're not gonna get away because I am very, very oculta. And Tia Carrere says, pissed off. Yes, pissed off. You know, I just love his line. And they're not gonna get away with this because I am very, very oculta. Pissed off. Yes, pissed off. Sean Connery, rest in peace. I mean, I miss the actor so much. I love the guy so much. He's so missed by many of the fans. He's considered one of the best Bond, and I miss Sean Connery so much. I mean, this review is in honor of Sir Sean Connery because he was just phenomenal in this movie. He's gold, pure gold in this movie. His acting performance. That's one of the reasons why I love this film. I don't love the movie to death, but I love this film. I enjoy this film. I enjoy The Hunt for Red October. I enjoy The Rock. I enjoy Rising Sun with Sean Connery that many of the people don't. I think that a few people even rented this film. And I disagree with them. I enjoy Rising Sun. So yeah, that's my movie review in honor of Sir Sean Connery because Rising Sun I enjoy. I mean, if you haven't seen it, give it a try. It's not a bad movie. It's a damn good movie. But that's my movie review on Rising Sun 1993. And man, the year for 1993, they were the time for the movies. I mean, they came out 2 best Sylvester Stallone movies, you know, Demolition Man, which I have a poster right there. Hard Target came out. Cliffhanger came out. Jurassic Park came out. Rising Sun came out. The year of in 1993 was the year for movies. And they were damn good movies that came out at the time. You know, Hard Target, Demolition Man, Cliffhanger, Jurassic Park, Rising Sun, and more movies that came out that time. But the year for 1993, it was the year for the movies. But that's my movie review on Rising Sun in honor of Sir Sean Connery. Rest in peace. Now take care, and I'll see you soon for the next movie review. For more Wesley Snipes movie reviews came out. I'm out. Peace. Take care. Bye bye.